Nigeria, and welcome to Politics on Sunday. We're live from our Abuja studio. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun, standing in for Femi Akonde. Tonight, we take you on a deep dive into the whirlwind of political activities shaping the national conversation, from major resignations to defections, new alliances, and the growing momentum towards 2027. The week began with a political bombshell, which is the resignation of the national chairman of the All Progressive Congress, Abdullahi Umar Ganduje. While the former Kano state governor attributed his resignation to health concerns, sources within the party suggest the move followed mounting internal pressure and strategic disagreement among power blocs within the APC. His resignation has reignited debates over the party's internal unity and direction as it prepares for the crucial 2027 general elections. The APC's National Executive Committee is now expected to meet in the coming days to determine Ganduje's replacement and chart the next steps. Still within the APC, the ruling party appears to be growing stronger by the day as fresh wave of defections sweeps across the political landscape, from the Labour Party to the PDP, and the movement of the ruling APC appears to be massive. This development suggests a growing consolidation of political power around the APC, at least for now. But while some parties consolidate, others are preparing for disruption. The Independent National Electoral Commission has confirmed receiving applications from over 100 new political associations seeking registration. Analysts say many of these groups are linked with influential politicians and former party members who are laying the groundwork for alternative platforms ahead of the 2027 elections. This signals the possibility of a much more fragmented political arena in the coming months. Meanwhile, talks of a grand opposition coalition are gaining traction. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, former Anambra State Governor Peter Obi, and former Kaduna State Governor Nasiru El-Rufai are reportedly engaged in high-level discussions aimed at forming a united political front. There's growing speculations these talks could give rise to a new mega party designed to challenge the APC's grip on power. The goal, according to the insiders, is to avoid splitting the opposition votes, a problem that proved costly in the 2023 elections. So where does all this leave us as the political climate heats up? With all signs already showing that the 2027 election will be fiercely contested, with high stakes for all players involved. Tonight, we ask, can the APC maintain its dominance amid internal shakeups? Will opposition parties succeed in uniting to mount a credible challenge? And could Nigeria be on the verge of a political realignment? We'll be unpacking these questions and more in our discussions. And joining me live in the studio is Dr. Majid Dairu, a journalist, public affairs analyst, and a columnist. How are you, Majid?
Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
Did you see Abdullahi Ganduje's resignation coming?
Speculations have been rife in the past couple of weeks about his imminent resignation. And many reasons were actually adduced for that. Apart from some intrigue within the party, and there were also concerns that the North Central Zone, which originally had the position of the chairman of the APC,
North Central.
So there were pressures from the North Central that they needed to fill up the position. We also heard that there are issues concerning the FCT, local council primary elections. We're also hearing things like the imminent defection of Kwankwaso and his group into the APC from Kano, and the incompatibility of Ganduje and Kwankwaso working under the same political party. So, sundry issues. But the bottom line is that Ganduje has resigned, and the APC appears to be moving on.
Now, look at the succession. We had the former Nasarawa State governor, the president marshaled them to the election, him and Obisheri. What's the name of Adamu Abdullahi? Abdullahi Adamu. And right now, we have, within the space of just 2 years, Ganduje is moving on. And when you see this for the stability of the party, how will this affect?
Okay, well, this has been a familiar pattern with political parties in Nigeria. One thing is for sure, when you have a party, a ruling party, and the leadership of the party, in this case the chairman of the party, holds office only at the pleasure of the president, who is the ultimate leader of the party in both fact and otherwise. So whenever the president deems it fit, they have a way of putting pressure on any sitting chairman. It could be through body language, it could be through conversation, it could be through any means to step aside, so that if it is in the opinion of the leader of the party that you need to step aside for the party to move on, they have a way of effecting it.
What's the myth behind Alhaji Kokoso that everybody wants to, the PDP wants Kokoso, the APC has been, before that last election, I know they were talking till
no doubt he's a very popular figure in Kano State. Kano happens to be one of Nigeria's most popular states with a regular turnout of very high,
that's a catch.
Very high votes. And he seems to be in control of majority of the votes.
He had almost 2 million votes.
Exactly, from that state when he ran the last time. But sometimes it's important to also weigh options. I say this because in trying to gain more support, for example in Kano, it is imperative also not to lose the
not to lose Ganduje.
Because for me, Ganduje has been very loyal to the president even before he got the ticket of the party. Ganduje was one of the few governors in the north then who openly declared their power should shift to the south without any prompting. And he was consistent about it. He also resisted any move, any attempt at all to retain power in the north. That for me should count for something. Similarly, in the general election as well, despite the strength that Kwankwaso, demonstrated being a son of the soil, quote unquote, the over 600,000 votes that the Ganduje group was able
almost 600,000
was able to squeeze out for the president is also very significant. And for me, sometimes in politics, a bird in hand is truly what it does in the bush. So Ganduje has to manage an asset to the APC. He has to manage very well. I expect the president to quickly avoid the El-Rufai scenario that happened when he was nominated for ministerial appointment and somehow he was dropped on the basis of security concerns, which has created another opening through what you now see as a coalition. The president must not waste any minute in moving quickly to manage Ganduje, make him remain in the party, and make sure that Ganduje does not turn against his candidacy or the party in the same manner that El-Rufai has just done. It's very important. I'm sure a lot of lessons should have been learned from the El-Rufai episode. So they have to manage Ganduje. Ganduje came into the last election in support of the president with massive political assets that must be managed, must be sustained, must be retained. Even if you want to extend the hand of fellowship to his rivals, you cannot dump Ganduje along the road. You can't dump by the roadside.
Now, could this lead to more, factional fights within, the party? People will be coming. We see here more people to the camp, more heavyweights.
It will depend on the states. There are some states where the governor, the sitting governor, and most of the political leaders are on the same page. So it's easy to subsume all other tendencies. As we've seen in Delta, as we've seen in Akwa Ibom, it's easy. You can easily subsume. But for northern states...
The Akwa Ibom man, Udom did not go with him.
No, but the APC people he met welcomed him with both hands, so they are fused into one party. It is the same thing with Delta. But in the north, it's going to be a bit tricky. And so that the president must be at his best when it comes to political brickmanship. Be at his best at this time. Look, you cannot lose Ganduje to gain Kwankwaso. If that is the game plan, it may not work out well.
It will be counterproductive.
No, it will be counter. In fact, let me tell you this, and if I must give this as a free and open advice. I think, despite the political popularity, despite the heavyweight that Kwankwaso appears to be in Kano, there's one thing you also must factor in. His ability to be loyal to a cause and to a candidate other than himself. It's something to really...
It's also very ambitious.
It's very ambitious. Are you sure
he
you
wants
can
that
get...
number one seat? That's the ultimate prize.
Thank you. Are you sure, for instance, that he's going to demonstrate the same level of loyalty that this other man has been able to give you over the past few years, even if he appears to be more popular and is in control of the state? So sometimes, isn't it better to retain that which you have? I mean, Donji must not remain the party chairman forever, no. I mean, it's not a permanent chieftaincy office, but this should not in any way become a situation where you are trying to dump Ganduje to gain Kwankwaso. It should be counterproductive, because I believe that Ganduje, despite his own limited control of the state, will be more faithful and loyal to the president than the Kwankwaso, who sees himself as larger than life.
Where's Alhaji Ibrahim Shekarawa in all this? I remember the 2023 election. He was the name that was submitted to INEC for that's Kano Central Senatorial District, and he resigned. Denounced the position 24 hours to that position, and he still had over 600,000 votes.
The last time we heard from Shekarau was when he led the delegation of the Northern League of Democrats to former President Olusegun Obasanjo. And I remember Obasanjo making a statement to him and those who came to say, look, Nigeria's problem is neither south nor north, and it is neither northern or southern in nature. That what ails the man in the north ails the man in the south. That he expects them at this time to be more pan-Nigerian than regional. But he seems to still be, at that level. And he seems to also be part of the coalition that is trying to come up to challenge the APC, given the fact that the PDP appears to be lost in all of this, and the Labour Party too. So I think he's in the opposition. Maybe he believes that the government is not doing well, and he needs to be in the opposition to show that they can wrestle power from the incumbent.
All right. We'll take this breather. When we come back, we'll continue. It's politics on Sunday. We'll be right back after this time out. Please don't go away. Thank you for staying with us. It's politics on Sunday, and I still have Dr. Mojid Diary with us. And looking at the sequence, the frequency, those that came into the National Assembly, when you look at the permutation, the number of Labour Party lawmakers, the number of People's Democratic Party lawmakers that started this journey in 2023 after the inauguration, June 10 inauguration or June 12 inauguration, after they started. Now, day by day, week in, week out, now you see somebody from PDP, somebody from the Labour Party. The last one is the man from Benin, Emmanuel, now crossing to the All Progressive Congress. How healthy is this? A lot of people have been saying that I've been sure that these people, they did not come with, it's just to get to power, that there's no ideology in whatever they're doing.
Yes. The weakest link in our democratic value chain is the political party system. Ordinarily, the political party system is supposed to be the brain box of our democracy, where ideas, alternate ideas, competing ideas of good governance are synthesized.
Contrary to what happened in the Second Republic.
Exactly, are synthesized and made into ideological learning blocks or implementable policy documents. But in the case of Nigeria, it has become a special purpose vehicle to simply grab power for self-service.
We had the left, we had the right.
It's absolutely lacking in Nigeria. There is no left, there is no right.
Anywhere
below face. But disappointingly, for me, in terms of this conversation would have been the Labour Party. I say this because the PDP was not expected to be an opposition party post-2023, because if you follow some of my comments, I predicted, for example, that once the PDP committed that mortal sin of violating zoning and retaining their presidency, the presidential candidate in the north, that the PDP was going to swim into troubled waters and probably sink into oblivion. And that is what you see happening now within the PDP rank and file, because it was a costly mistake. So what you see happening essentially is the southern flank of the country is being overrun by the APC, because you have a southern president in power. And that seems to be reinforcing the president's support base in the north as well, who has seen that, well, the president seems to be consolidating across the south, including in regions where he did not win outrightly.
Somebody said the whole of the south states might end up ultimately.
No, the entire south, because one of their own is in power. Look, Nigeria is still very steep in politics of identity, ethnicity, religion, and region. And that was why the elites who sat and felt, look, even among bandits, there should be honor. So when you do from the north, let's do from the south. So the party that has violated this appears to have been lost in this equation now.
Wow.
So the APC is overrunning the PDP base in the south. But
somebody told me earlier that Bayelsa is warming up.
Most of the governors will go. I mean, it's a matter of time.
Wow.
You see, when Atiku Abubakar unfortunately happened to the PDP because of that ambition that should not have been, I'm one of those who said Atiku should not have contested that election in 2023. But he contested. Now, that happenstance created a wicked problem. So the wicked problem, for example, is sinking the PDP gradually because there's a struggle, you know, it's like a mortal combat for the soul of the PDP. So in the process, as we speak today, there is no certainty around PDP, its leadership and its processes. And it is too risky for any serious-minded politician to hang your political ambition, your political lifeline, in the balance of a scale that's actually not standing on anything, which is the PDP today. So the PDP, as we speak, if this tussle over who is secretary or not continues, the PDP might end up having no candidate going to the next election. So that's it's a very risky tough to play now. And most importantly, the PDP has lost its support base in the south-south, in the southeast, and what you can call the middle belt of Nigeria. That's why it's so easy for governors on the platform of the party to decamp without any consequence at all. Now, but for the Labour Party, that party should have been the hope, the flicker of hope for Nigeria's democratic consolidation. But those who benefited from the level of people power that was deployed to throw up a fringe party, and if you like, a fringe candidate like Peter Obi, to come almost, you know, top three with the candidates of the PDP and the APC, which includes the current president. Those who benefited from that effort, that were elected into the National Assembly and their lone state governor, appears to have betrayed the obedient movement by aligning with those that people filed out to vote against, rejected all forms of inducement. They contributed their own money.
There seems to be this difference between Labour Party and obedient movement.
Well, the obedient movement gave life to the Labour Party. One would have expected that the politicians, those who benefited from this lifeline,
yes,
should have
that bandwagon effect,
should have simply given back to the people that which they desired when they voted for them against the status quo. Now, this betrayal for me is the worst thing to have happened to our democracy, because it has created democratic inertia. It has created apathy in the minds of many people who feel, is it worth my time to file out again in the next cycle of election, to vote for free for people who will only go to the National Assembly and now begin to decamp to the parties we rejected at the polls? So if people complain that democracy is not thriving in Nigeria, there are two factors responsible. Failure of government or governance on one hand by ruling parties, but most importantly, the failure of the opposition in Nigeria to throw up alternatives and to also oppose by example. So this is one of the complications we are facing in our democracy, which might allow the ruling party to have a free ride going to the next cycle of election.
Okay, can Atiku, El-Rufai and others really unite to form a strong coalition?
Coalition to do what? You see, let me tell you something.
To remove Bola Tinubu from,
you see,
Asurok.
I'm one of those who ordinarily would want to see Bola Tinubu removed from power, because if you know me, I'm very much opposed to his policies of subsidy removal on petrol and flotation of the Naira, among many others. But I've come to realize that what the man simply implemented was an orthodoxy, an economic orthodoxy that is prevalent across the country, across all political divides. So on what basis am I going to exchange a Bola Tinubu who says he will do the same thing that Peter Obi said he was going to do, that Atiku said he was going to do, that none of them have had the boldness to say, okay, haven't seen some of the repercussions of these policies, we're going to go back on them. The last interview by Peter Obi, he doubled down and said he was going to still do the same thing the president has done. It means that there are no alternatives to what the president has done.
He said he will do it gradually. Then he said he will remove it immediately.
There are no gradual ways of doing something that I consider wrong. It means you are doing the wrong thing gradually. I don't know what difference it will make. So if, for instance, we are hearing a clear-cut alternative to what the president has done, Nigerians cannot begin to galvanize to say, okay, where the president has removed subsidy, Atiku has not realized that subsidy was essential and he's going to restore it. He hasn't said so. All I've been hearing from the opposition, or those that are calling themselves coalition partners, are invectives. I mean, slurs on the personality of the president. And I'm a bit worried. Because it seems to me that what they are trying to achieve, what is their motivation, is more selfish than egalitarian, if you ask me.
A lot of people will ask that, can Atiku just bury his ambition and support a Peter Obi? And
okay.
That's the when we have...
Ordinarily, I believe the power should remain in the South for 8 years. Because President Muhammadu Buhari was in power for 8 years. And I recall that when President Jonathan violated zoning in 2011, Atiku revolted against him and supported Buhari of the CPC. And when in 2015 it appeared as though Jonathan was going to run again in 2015, Atiku left the party entirely, from the CPC, from the APC, with the new PDP as part of the alliance partners, and made sure he did all he could, working with Asiwaju and others, to defeat PDP and Jonathan. Then why is Atiku right now at the forefront of violating zoning? He did it in 2023, and he's supposed to do it again. And let me say this. Atiku contested against two people in 2023 that he wasn't supposed to contest against. The first person was Asiwaju and Bola Tinubu. You may not like him, it doesn't matter. But if he's your devil, he was an angel to Atiku. You know why? In 2007, when it was the turn of the North to president, it was Atiku that Asiwaju supported to president. Lagos became the base of Atiku's presidential campaign and ambition. He did that. In 2011, when it was still the turn of the North, the ACM fielded another northerner in the person of Malam Nuhu Ribadu as the candidate of the ACM. The president joined forces with other eminent Nigerians across the country to restore this, sanity, this faith, this fidelity to agreement by working against Jonathan, who's from the South. Now, Atiku may have forgotten all of this, but you are contesting against a man who supported you in 2007 and who supported your region to produce the presidency in 2015.
But eventually, if you step down and allow Peter Obi, would you be able to give him full support? In the post,
as we speak, he's still in the race. Like I told you earlier, there are two people he shouldn't have contested against in his entire life. The second person was Peter Obi. In 2019, Peter Obi and his people of the Southeast, they gave a resounding victory against the incumbent President Buhari without minding the repercussion of what will come
the entire Southeast
by being in the opposition party for another 4 years. They did that. By 2021, we would have expected that if he didn't want Asiwaju to be president, now support Peter Obi, whose people and himself gave you that kind of support that made you to put up such a strong showing against the then President Muhammadu Buhari. He threw himself into the ring, took the ticket, through a process that looked like two daughters and Stambo and Atiku stepping down for each other against. So, I mean, this level of betrayal, against Wike, I expect Wike to be happy. This level of betrayal is what has created the problem in the PDP. And as we speak, he's still doubling down on this error. He's still trying to contest within the new coalition. And there are propositions that Obi should run with him as a running mate. And for some of us, we believe that the South must run its entire course for 8 years for equity, fairness, and justice. I don't have to like the person who is president. I don't have to belong to his party. But as a Nigerian, the starting point for the conversation for the next election is to maintain this equitable distribution of power so as to maintain the unity of Nigeria ab initio, pending when we as Nigerians can come together and chart a way forward for our country. But until then, we must maintain that which holds us together.
There's this dangerous phenomenon in our demography, voting age. The youths, they are not happy. The last time, most of them, or majority, voted for the Labour Party.
Yes.
They wanted change.
They wanted change. And they still want change.
If we experience the same surge.
Now, the problem is this. I want to see that surge. But what's going to inspire that surge? The only thing that is going to inspire that surge is no longer personalities. Because like I told you, in 2015, we experienced that same surge when Buhari enjoyed the youth population support. You have to acknowledge the role that the youth played in this election. But in 8 years, he failed to deliver. Now, the Labour Party that enjoyed that surge in 2023, their senators, their rep members, have not only turned coat, they have betrayed the very people whose support they enjoyed to defeat incumbents across the board, to cause disruptions. I mean, they defeated the president in his home state of Lagos. They defeated the ruling party in Abuja, the seat of power. They caused such an upstage that it was unprecedented in the history of Nigeria. Yet, the beneficiaries, can you tell me anybody in the National Assembly of Labour Party extraction that has been consistent, even to just speak up against some of the things people are feeling in the land today? None. It is mom. It's either they are decamping or they are simply aligning with the ruling party. So on what basis will anybody carry out the kind of effort we saw in the last election for any other political party or candidate when you are not sure they will not behave like this one that you voted for 4 years back? And the most important is that there is no alternative to what President Tinubu has done. Again, I do not support subsidy on petroleum. I do not support flotation of the naira. But none of his rivals, not one, has been able to say, I have an alternative to what is done.
All right. We have to leave it there. I will thank you, Dr. Ojid Dahiru. I will thank you for joining us on Politics on
Thank
Sunday.
you very much.
And that's our offering today. Join us next week for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast later tonight, and you can watch it on our YouTube channels. I'm Ayodele Ozubaku. See you next time.